For delivering this exclusive session. We have with us our today's expert, Dr. Neeta Batla, ma'am. She's an doctorate in management from APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University. She is working as an associate professor and departmental in charge with the Department of Management Studies, Babu Banarasi Das, Northern India Institute of Technology, Lucknow, affiliated to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow. She is having an experience of 19 plus years in teaching management students. Her area of expertise is human resource and marketing. She has published 20 plus research papers in national and international journals. She has also presented 15 plus papers in national and international conferences globally. So, without wasting much time, let me welcome Dr. Neeta Batla, ma'am. Over to
Thank you,
you,
sir.
ma'am.
Uh, s- uh, Good morning to all the participants who have gathered here for today's session on impact of COVID-19 on e-commerce in India. Now, while we go through this session, e-commerce, as you all know, am I audible to all the participants? Uh, b- uh,
Yes,
Before we
ma'am.
go on
Perfect.
to the COVID-19 on e-commerce in India, uh, from 2 years globally to more than 2 years globally, the entire world has been suffering from COVID-19, or which has been called coronavirus, which originated from the Wuhan city in China. And the first case of the COVID-19 was reported in India on 30th of January 2020. Then the world, then where at that time China was having a kind of a lockdown. China was having a kind of a lockdown, and then India also went into the lockdown from 24th of March to 14th of April, where the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, uh, declared a national lockdown for 21 days. The first lockdown, which was being done for 21 days from 24th March 14th to 14th of April 2020. Then the second phase of lockdown, which was being done from 15th of April 2020 to 3rd May 2020. In the phase which was another for another 19 days, because there was a lot of crisis situation. The entire nation went into a lockdown. All the offices were being shut down. All the offices were being shut down. All the markets. There was an entire shutdown of the offices, markets, and each and every thing was being totally being shut down. And people were being asked, the employees were being asked to work online. And when the markets were being shut down, the Kirana stores, the only the what was available was the essential commodities. Only the Kirana stores were being available, and only the medical supplies were being there. Only the essential items were being available. Nothing more was being available. Many of the people lost their jobs. Then the phase 3 of the lockdown was from 4th May 2020 to 14th May 2020. That was another for 14 days, which was then extended in the phase 4 from 18th May 2020 to 31st May 2020. That was one another 14 days. Then phase 5 was from 1st June 2020 to 30th of June, with restrictions, and only there were restrictions. They started opening up, but there were restrictions only which were regulated in the contaminant zones, where they had divided the zones into red, orange, and green. In the red zones, there were the all the restrictions prevailed, which were prevailing in the earlier phase. Then if we talk about what is the impact of COVID-19, we'll be talking of the impact of COVID-19 on e-commerce during lockdown, and also during the post lockdown period. Now during the lockdown period, if you know that all the only the digital things were being available. If we only the digital things were being available during the lockdown phase mein only the digital things were being available, means the only the essentials which were being available, means they were asked being only people were can do online, they were taking online delivery, so all the online portals were being active, but only the essential supplies were being available. Only the essential supplies means only the groceries were being available and the medical supplies were being available. Now after due to after there was a closure of when the after the closure during the lockdown period, when the things started opening, the market started opening in June, and the offices started opening, the restrictions still prevailed because many of the people thought that it is better to buy online rather to go for a offline. So what the kirana stores, they or the malls or many of the employees lost their jobs, and going to those markets, shopping, doing a lot of going in physical form and getting into touch, people thought of moving away from it. So when we talk of what would be the types of e-commerce, if we talk of, there will be the major types of e-commerce businesses. If we talk of our business to business, business to consumer, business to businesses, which is also being termed as B2B, or business to consumer, that is from directly from the business to the end consumer, or to the availability to the product. Then from business to administration, consumer to administration, customer to customer, mobile e-commerce, which was very much into use. Then Facebook e-commerce, lot of things were being available on the Facebook, and lot of shopping and everything was being done through the Facebook itself. Means not only business buying was being done through the online, but also through, for the consumer's point of view also, the things were being done online only. Now, if we move to the objectives of our today's session, that what we will be discussing is, there are certain objectives that facilitate retail and e-commerce industry in the study. The first is to study the impact of COVID-19 on e-commerce industry. Now, what will be the impact of COVID? What was the impact of COVID-19 on e-commerce industry? How far the COVID-19 has impacted on the e-commerce. We cannot say that the entirely the COVID-19 has resulted in increase in all the sales figures, or it has increased the digital sales, or it has increased in terms of online shopping itself. But how the digital payments have increased, how the digitalization, as if we Prime Minister is looking forward to the digitalization of digital India, and many of the things have been done digital. But still, there are many people who are, because in India, all the people are not literate. So if you talk of it, those people who are from the rural areas, they are not very much aware about the digital payments and also still the digital payments or digitalization of services or shopping had increased during this phase. Then to assess various segments which are affected by pandemic, each and every segment was being affected, but as each and if all the supplies were not being available, logistics were not being there, all the, you can say, the distribution channels were being affected, the supplies were not being there. So the malls or the malls were all being shut down, but the kirana stores or any of the the online portals also, many of the grocery items were also not been available. Then the third is to analyze the challenges and opportunities faced during pandemic and post pandemic. This will be coming forward to. Then to suggest the measures uphold and support the industry, to find the key factors influencing e-commerce industry. What were the key factors which are very important for us, which are influencing the e-commerce industry? Now, which will be the online websites which were available for shopping during pandemic? If we talk of Amazon was being available, Walmart was there, um, and various, if you talk of many of the food service like Zomato, Swiggy, all these portals were being available, or eBay, or Samsung.com, or Walmart.com, Aliprex.com, Home.spot.com, and various other portals which were available like Flipkart and Amazon, which are being used by each and every individual. And each and every individual is very much aware of that, doing shopping from Flipkart, from Amazon, because they are providing all the other, all, not only the other things, but they are providing all the essential items also. If you talk of grocery items, all are being available there. Then what is the market share of e-commerce in India? If we talk of what is the market share, the data which was being gathered uh, uh, earlier in 2014, the as compared to, if you see to the 2021, the market share of e-commerce industries across India in billion US dollars is 84 billion US dollars in 2021, and which is expected to come up as 200 billion USD dollars in 2026. So means there would be a rapid increase in the e-commerce industries all over the across the India. Means there will be a purchasing, there will be a kind of there will be more of purchasing from the internet portals. There will be a lot of because people have now aware of, and they are looking forward to it. Then what are the factor now there was what made people or the youth or different other, because not only if we talk of segmentation of marketing, we find if you talk of demographic segmentation, or if you talk of firstly of democratic segmentation, there are people from different age, from different income groups, from different areas, or so they have, each and every one is having a different kind of a pattern of buying. So their consumer pattern of buying is very different. And there were few factors which were responsible for the growth of e-commerce. Now, first was the new shopping habits. Now, how the new shopping habits arised? People were during the pandemic, when things were limited, it was said that they are not supposed to go outside, they're not supposed to get into touch with the others, they are not supposed to touch any kind of surfaces, so that so that somehow they are safe. Therefore the offices, their shops, and everything was being shut down. So things were all the at least the essential commodities and the medical supplies were required. So which was being required, those people who were not even purchasing online, they started purchasing and they started going for it. So there they started to have a new shopping habits inculcated in them. New shopping habits usme develop hui, and therefore when the new shopping habits developed, now these people they were more versed. They found that this was very helpful, and this was very easy for them to order online, and the supplies were being they were getting the supplies itself. Then the second, that was the rapid growth of the mobile devices. Now, which was a very big need of each and every person, that the smartphones were being required. More of smartphones were being required. Everyone required a smartphone to order and to shop online, to have all the apps on the smartphone itself, like you talk of Amazon, you talk of Flipkart, you talk of Zomato, or you talk of Swiggy, and the other Maniratra, or various other shopping sites, all these, so that they could go for the shoppings, and they could browse, and they could shop easily. The third was, even as some items became scarce in physical stores, there were options for ordering online. Because in those days what happened, that those people who were shopping offline, more of physical form mein jo log purchase kar rahe the, they started to think that if these things would be available or not. So a person who was purchasing supposedly 1 kg or 2 kgs started to purchase 5 kgs, and started uh, uh, to purchase more of the inventory or the essential items, so that they could not that so that no problems arise. So what happened, the inventories or the items that were available in the physical stores itself, in the Kirana stores, they became scarce. And as the supplies were not being generated, as the logistics was not being available, the all the distribution channels were being affected, therefore the items were not being available. So it was better for ordering online items, so that moving again and again to the physical stores, which result in a exposure to their infection. So it was better to shop online. The fourth was the digital revolution of local shops for Kiryana, so that now if the Kiryana stores who were operating, either they, though they were open, but lesser of people wanted to go. So it was, if they are going to start a home shop delivery, or if they are going to make use of some kind of online portals, then it would be good for them to survive in the competitive scenario, because it will be easier for the people to order the items. Then the fifth became the increasing online launching of products, the various online products that were being available. There is a lot of competition, many portals are available, many of these sites are available where people can easily go and order. Then there was a strong and steady growth of internet users. Everyone is having an internet connection. It was a time when people were not having laptops, when people were not having lesser amount of when there was lesser things were being available. Now each and everyone is having a system, each and everyone is having a smartphone, each and everyone is very well versed with the internet use of internet. Now, how the cashless payments have increased in India. If we talk of cashless payments, from 2012, in the cashless payments in India, which more of there has been a huge focus of the Prime Minister, that to increase the digital payments. Now, how to increase the digital payments in India? Now, these digital payments have been increased from 2012 to 2019. If you see that 2.95, it was in 2.95 billions, it was there in cashless payments in India, now which has increased to 32 point. In 2019, it has increased to 32.7 billions, which shows that there has been a huge focus on cashless payments in India. So that means there is a lot of digitalization of services. There is a lot of there is a more of progress for digital payments. Then what, which is very essential, is what are the challenges which e-retailing is facing? There is low footfalls and hence low sales at malls and e-outlets, etc. Now the sales became lesser at the malls because people were not available. None of the people reported. Malls were being shut down for a huge period of time, for at least 4 or 5 months. And then due to that, and a kind of uh, more of online payments, for more of online shopping was being there. So retailing should be there, e-ordering, or from the portals itself, directly ordering of the inventory could be there. That were only available for the grocery items. Then revenue and collections will take time to streamline for non-essential goods. Now, which will be the non-essential goods? Like if we talk of the revenue that is going to come for the non-essential goods, like if you talk of the clothing, you talk of the other items, or various other things. So those items which are not being in daily use, apart from grocery or the medical supplies, so those items were not being sellable online, and there was a huge loss in sales and profits to the companies as well as to the malls and each and every uh, mm, store which were being operating, because they were being closed for a huge amount of time and these supplies were not being available even online. Then development of infrastructure should be there. Very very important thing is that each and every, seeing the COVID-19 pandemic, which is a big concern, there should be a development of infrastructure also. If the organization, or if you talk of uh, uh, if all the internet facilities or all the things are not there, if all the infrastructural facilities are not there, then how the e-shopping or e-retailing would be done? Then there would be a concern of quality, which is a very important thing. How, which is now how to see that what is the quality of the item. In India, people are more concerned for the quality of the item. They say online order, it is not better, it is not to go for online item ordering, because many of the people are still concerned about the online shopping. They think that it is not to go for the online, but it is rather to concern on the quality of the product. Then social influence is a very important thing. Definitely the people, your friends, your reference groups, your acquaintances, your family, everyone is, and the society, each and everyone is influencing your buying patterns. Your buying patterns are definitely being influenced due to them. Each and everyone is very much influenced due to the your due to the social influence. Next, we come to the challenges which are faced during pandemic. The following were the challenges which were faced during pandemic. The demand for online shopping has increased, which is a very important scenario. ऑनलाइन शॉपिंग की डिमांड जो है वो बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ गई है, because people were more aware about their health, rather they were least bothered to go for online, rather they were least bothered to go for mm, to go in physical form and to any of the mall shops or any of the other places. Then COVID-19 has impacted aviation, your automobile, hospitality, IT services, pharmaceutical, and e-commerce, each and everything. E-commerce giants like Amazon has reduced supplying only the essential items during lockdown, because only the essential items were being available during the lockdown, because lesser of staff was there and logistics crisis were being there. Distribution was very very much affected during that phase. Online food ordering and delivery platforms like Swiggy and Zomato were used more for contactless delivery relating to hygiene. So like if you talk of Swiggy and Zomato, which are such ordering portals, those people, those who are staying alone, or who are the singles, or who are the bachelors, who are not through who are dependent on food supplies, could get through the Swiggy and Zomato. Then creating convenient way for people to shop with pickup, drive up, and same day delivery. Now how to make people more convenient for shopping. किस तरीके से शॉपिंग को किस तरीके से इंक्रीज किया जा सकता है, or how things can be improved, how things can be driven up, and same kind of supplies could be necessitated on the same day itself. Then supply chain issues were another very important things, where product shortages were being there, uh, because things were not being available, supplies were not in the available like they are available in the normal course, because the demand was much high and the supply was much less, because whatever inventories were being there in the stores, they were being bought by all the customers, because they thought that supplies would be available or not. So during that phase itself, supplies were not being available, and there were supply chain issues were being there, product shortages were being there. Then potentially declining consumer demand could also blunt the e-commerce growth if the economy falters or goes into recession. Then e-commerce purchase frequency, which was affected due to pandemic. Now, if we talk of e-commerce frequency, if we see that the frequency of India as concerning the other nations like Vietnam, China, or Italy has increased 55%, means more of the customers are going for online purchasing. बहुत सारे customers जो हैं, they are going for online purchasing. That means the frequency of buying has all been increased in India. India में online shopping has increased in comparison to the earlier times itself, because of the pandemic phase. Pandemic phase has proven to be you can say a question to all those people who are were buying from the Kiryana stores or were buying from the malls itself. Then challenges which were faced during the post-pandemic was change in shopping trends, means moving from Kiryana to online purchasing, which is very much essential. Now, how the things were being done, like if you talk of Kiryana stores and all, which were going to the Kiryana store, shopping the things, and now many of the people have gone for the change in online purchasing, which is very much easier and more convenient and and saves time. So people have these are the challenges which are being faced by Kiryana stores. So if these Kiryana stores are not going to if they will start making use of some kind of online portals and all, then only in that case also in that case only they will be able to increase their sales and all. Then change in consumer buying behavior, means the pattern of purchasing has also been changed. There, the consumer pattern of buying has also been changed, which is very essential to understand that what was the trends in buying by the consumer earlier and now what has been the trend in buying. Then there has been a loss of employment to many of the people who are not only working in any of these stores or malls or any of the other things. So in any of the industries concerned, then promotion of online portals were also being done, which was very essential, like how to promote the online portals, because people were more aware during that phase. Online portals were available beforehand itself also, but during this phase, those people who are not even making use of it, they also started making use of it. Now, e-commerce consumer sales, how it has affected. So for various industries, the patterns of buying has increased. If you talk of the patterns of buying for each and everything has also increased during this phase, whether it is medical supplies, whether it is baby products, whether it is cleaning, whether it is food and beverages, whether it is consumer durable items, or any of the items during this phase itself. After, due to the COVID-19 phase, the e-commerce has increased, means more of people are internet driven. It is better to shop online rather to go for the to this variety of products. Then what was the positive impact of COVID-19 on e-commerce? There was a wide variety of product which were being available. The usage of e-commerce has been increasingly rapidly due to the post on for the past 20 years. In the global marketplace, if you talk of, many of the variety of products have been available. Many of the variety of products have been available, and these were so that people can shop easily. So that could be a, and it could meet the preferences and taste of various other customers. Then those, second of all, they were being available at lower prices. If they compare it with the market, that market, in market they are available at this price, now they are providing some kind of sales promotion patterns also, some gifts and all are being there. So the things were being offered at a lower prices, then it was convenient and safe for them to purchase, because they were on, which was saving their time. It was very easy for them to order online, and it during the pandemic phase itself, it was safe also. It was good that they were not been going to any of the stores itself, not getting in any kind of physical touch with any of the customers, with any of the store people, with any of the staff, so that they were trying to put themselves safe, means more of safety was being ensured. Then accessibility was another very important thing. Consumers can access e-commerce 24 hours a day. That is, accessibility was very important, because if you go for any of these shops itself, which are available for only a certain period of time, the shop opened at 10 o'clock and then somewhere it's closed at 8 o'clock in the night. So anytime it was easy for them, even at 12 o'clock in the night or 1 o'clock, any time during the night or day itself, it was easy for them to access the items, and it was saving their time. And fifthly, it was saving their time also, because during this phase it was easy for them as well as it was time driven. Now, negative impact that the COVID-19 had was, it has increased a competition. Now, the competition has increased because there were increased usage of online traffic due to e-commerce. Due to e-commerce businesses, various other platforms were being used, and it was very important through the analysis of various for the competitors to get a better understanding of the market realities. Now, which product they are supposed to go into, which was compatible for them, which is good for them, which they should order. And due to that, second of all, profiling many of the fraudulent users were being there. Many of them started doing business just for the sake. They were asking for the online payments, and they were not being providing the, and people were paying for it, and they were not being providing the products or the deliveries on time or to the customers. So that was also one of the very important thing that created hurdles in the working of online commerce in the pandemic phase. And it is challenging time for the e-commerce due to the online due to challenging time for e-commerce due to COVID-19, where it was very essential for them to recognize the fraudulent users across the across different platforms, because number of platforms were being created. Many of them started doing businesses on the Facebook. Many of them started creating their own portals itself, their own website, which were being available. And then they used to their these fraudulent users were being there. Then impact on parcel delivery. So there was a lot of impact on the parcel delivery. Delays were there because the deliveries were not being necessitated, logistics was not there, your e-commerce activities were not being provided. So parcel delivery was also being delayed. And which was another very important for them, there was a shift in consumer buying towards online shopping and increased demand across this period, because many of them people started ordering online. So a lot of burden of these parcels also increased. Earlier, those who were ordering things on offline, going to the physical form to the various markets, now they started to order online for it. So the parcel delivery also suffered because the transportation was not available, the staff was not available, the deliveries were not being available on time. Now if we talk of the sector wise impact on e-commerce. Now, if you talk, the traveling was being impacted a lot. The first and the foremost thing, that was the traveling that was being impacted. Each and every sector was being impacted. The each and every sector was being impacted due to COVID-19, and this particular thing which we'll be discussing is impact of pandemic on various sectors in India from digital payments perspective. So traveling and hospitality was the sector which contributed towards a significant portion of aggregate digital payments, expected to regrow in the short to medium term due to limited travel, due to restrictions were there. If you talk of traveling was not being done, if like flights were not being available, trains were not being available when the national lockdown took place, and when they were available also, there a lot of restrictions were being there, that they have so limited travel due to restrictions and fear among us the computers about the virus spreads. Then limited corporate travels as work from home is now which is now normal. Now it is getting normal, but earlier also they required COVID report, and what there were various other restrictions. They required any if it was essential for them to travel, so then they required some passes and all. Then uncertainty over the lockdown guidelines by different states. Then intercity travel, the impact was medium. Work from home norms and limited intercity travel to avoid the spread of virus, so that you're not traveling intercity as well as interstate travel, both were not being permitted, so that the virus would not spread over a period of time. Also, consumers are expected to prefer personal vehicles to avoid unnecessary contact with the others. Then the another thing, that was the apparels or the offline retail, which was affected, we can say more, because none went to buy the apparels offline, which was affected medium. For like 3 or 4 months, the malls were being shut down. So overall economic condition expected to result in GDP remaining stagnant, or loss of consumer earnings was being there, which is expected to have a negative impact on the sector, because the apparels were not being sold over the period of time, and a lot of impact was being found over it. Then media and entertainment offline. So avoidance of public places is expected to be a great consumer settlement despite lifting up of lockdown restrictions, unless cure is found. So avoidance of public places was being asked, so that stay home, stay safe. Then media and entertainment, that was online. Restrictions in forms of entertainment outside homes and avoiding public places may force public to look for various means of entertainment at home itself. So means everything, all the accessibility should be done from the home itself instead of going offline to PVRs or any other places, would increase the spread of virus. So because cross border and international payments, that was also having a medium impact over it. Cross border payments are expected to be impacted as a result of near complete drop in tourism, trade barriers, supply uncertainties, etc. Further, international remittances is expected to also be impacted as a result of potential decrease in wages of Indian abroad. So cross-border payments were also being restricted due to, because the tourism sector was being impacted a lot. The supply chains were being affected because the your trade, the trade was being restricted, means the export and import, everything was being restricted. Then the education sector, offline, the first and the foremost thing that the thing happened was the education sector impacted a lot due to, if the online portals would not been available, the education sector would have been, would the students would all the students would have to suffer a lot of crisis. So the offline, the shutdown of the schools, colleges, universities, everything was being done so that the virus could not spread, and the lockdown and the lack of certainty with regard to their assumptions may have a adverse effect. Then education online, various other portals started to make use of. Zoom was being used, Google Meet was being used, and various other portals were started making use of as soon as it was being possible. The online e-notes, e-classes, e-lectures, e-videos, everything started floating so that the students academic work would not suffer. Due to that shutting of schools and colleges, various institutions provide online courses have already witnessed a positive increase in business, and at the same time, same is likely to continue going forward. Then insurance, health and life, that was also affected medium as a result of pandemic. Both life and general insurance is expected to witness an increase in the business as a result of both renewals and new policies. So the pandemic, due to the pandemic, both the life insurance and general insurance was being expected to increase a lot. Both life insurance and general insurance was expected to witness an increase in the business as a result of both renewals and policies, because people started making use of health insurance policies and all, which would so that they would if so that insurance would be there, so which would help them during the medical phases itself. Then telecom sector was also being affected, increase in demand for broadband internet users. Now earlier, which was the internet was not so much required, which was the increased phase was being done due to the during the pandemic phase itself. The increase in demand was being done. Then hospitality was another. Hospitality and tourism sector was also being affected a lot, because being all the hotel industry was being shut down. The flights were being shut down. International flights were not being available. Domestic flights were also not being available during the national lockdown. And so due to this, this sector has contributed to 40% of the digital payments and expected to regrow in the short and to medium term due to the travel restrictions imposed by government as well as individuals themselves. Then consumer durables was another sector which was also being impacted, and how they have what kind of impact they had due to COVID-19, and how the e-commerce, how the online portals have affected. This segment is expected to witness a negative impact due to restrictions in supply chains and deliveries imposed as a result of social distancing, lockdown coupled with a loss of consumer earnings. A lot of loss of consumer earnings were there, and due to which then restaurants, short-term impact was there. Avoidance of public places for social gatherings, restaurants, hotels, all were being shut down, so that the people are not coming to the places. Therefore, only the online portals were being available. When the online portals were being available, like Swiggy and Zomato, takeaway system could be used. So that takeaway system could be used. So avoidance of public places for social distances is expected to be general consumer sentiment. Despite lifting up lockdown restrictions, unless cure has been found, then government-related transactions. Short term was this industry may witness a growth on account of higher DBT transfers and digital methods already used for um, considerable portion of municipal and other tax payments. So the other government related things which were being transactions were also being affected. The overall impact of COVID-19 resulted in on e-commerce resulted in demand of online shopping had increased for essential commodities and medical supplies, which was a very important thing, because due to groceries and if medical supplies or medicines are not being provided to those people who are been suffering, then what was more was being required was hospitals, beds, oxygen cylinders. All these things were being required during that phase. Shopping malls are facing problem in terms of expenses, and outflows have increased. The challenge for providing employment to a larger section of people, because they were being closed for a huger amount of time, so that physical contact would not been there, so that people are not coming to the malls. They do not have a physical contact. Stay home, stay safe was very essential for all the people who were there itself. So things were that the shopping mall started facing problem in terms of expenses and outflows. So the challenges for providing employment to the larger section of people. Then cash flow and income has dried up, and on the other side, expenses have remained constant. Cash flow and income has dried up, and the other side, expensive has remained constant. The the increase, like during the normal course itself, people started to as they come to the various places, like to the hospital, to the tourism sector, or to the go outside, plan their trips. And people who were staying for a huger amount of time itself, they were waiting that the pandemic to be over, so that they can move outside, plan for their vacations, and um, move to the restaurants, hotels, and have a good time with their families. And due to which the cash flows and incomes were being dried up, because things were not being available, like to the aviation sector, many of the people had to lose their jobs, because flights and all were being closed. So there was no inflow of the cash, and the income has also been dried up. In near future, the e-commerce will have to focus on revenue and collections, will need to be streamlined. So e-commerce will have to focus more on revenue and collections, which was very important for them. Lastly, I would say that the online shopping in India has been a need of the hour of the consumers, due to the changing lifestyle and time to shop the commodities. The consumers are not only looking to shop the essential items, but also the non-essential items. The entire world is suffering from COVID-19. When the entire world was suffering from COVID-19 pandemic, which has affected almost all the nations, the COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in the shift and the buying habits of consumers. The shopping malls were being shut due to lockdown, and post lockdown of the sales in the malls have declined. The employees who were dependent on the malls had to lose their jobs. The unemployment scenario has multiplied, not only if we talk of malls or to the retail stores, but also each and every sector it was badly been affected. The unemployment scenario has multiplied for many, not only in India but in the entire world. The e-commerce in the near future will have to streamline, and revenue will also have to generate sales in order to survive. So how things in the near future, things how things will be taking place in the near future, how the e-commerce activities will be necessitated, how things will take place, which is very essential for them, so that to meet the challenges in the post pandemic itself. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the nice session. If someone have a question, unmute yourself and ask. I think no one have any question. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much
Th-
all the participants. With the permission to today's keynote speaker, Meeta Bhatla, I would like to end this webinar here. Thank you, ma'am. You can end the meeting now.
okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.